All right, I've got UFC bantamweight contender Jimmie Rivera joining me here. And Jimmy, how's quarantine going, man? How are you holding up during this thing?
Home a lot. Home and doing what workouts I can. That's it. How you guys
Yeah,
doing?
I'm
How you
hanging
doing?
in there, man. I'm trying to stay sane during this thing. So far, so good, but definitely a little antsy to get back to the regular life, and I'm sure you are too. So, I guess for you, what's the day to day been like as a professional fighter that's living through this time period?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, I've been hitting the gym and running at our headquarters, but we don't have any training right now. Training's suspended. We're hoping that it will start back up probably mid-May, and get back to it. But it's just kind of like day to day, wake up. I do own a school in New York City, so we are doing Zoom classes. We actually start that next week. We been doing a lot of online training for our students, and we decided to all our schools do Zoom classes, so now we can interact and have a full schedule, so people could train and do stuff from home right now.
For sure, man. And I was going to ask you this a little later, but I guess we'll just dive into it. You talk about training, and I know one of your training partners, Lyman Good, obviously has been hit by this thing a little harder than the rest of us. And I heard Shane Burgos kind of give his thoughts. So, I mean, when you heard that and that one of your training partners was affected by this, did things become a little more real for you?
You know what? You just hope that he is getting better, which as far as I know, he's fully recovered. He's great. He's back training again. It's just a hard thing, especially when you're training for a fight like Lyman was. He was supposed to fight April 18th, even though the card got canceled. But he was training, and he started feeling, worse and worse. And when you're breaking down your body and training so hard and getting ready for a fight, it's hard to recover. I guess at a certain point, you realize like I got to pull from it. This is killing me, and it's a smart move, even though the card didn't happen, and that the fact that he's doing better, he's back training, training on his own a little bit with Shane is going well.
For sure, man. And we asked a lot of fighters this going when this virus first surfaced. We were kind of asking fighters this question, but maybe now that you've been with somebody that had it, was there any concern on your end too? Like, hey, I've been in the gym with this guy, and maybe I should go get tested, or did it give you any second thoughts about training with other people?
When this hit the fan, like I actually wasn't in training for like a week. Like I was teaching my wrestling classes. I was still injured with my neck, and healing it up. But I actually was away in Florida for Daytona Bike Week that I do every year. So when I got back, I actually didn't even make it to the training because I was just starting to hear the news. It was getting worse, and my school was open the Saturday before we closed. So I want to say it was the 14th, and we closed on the 16th, or the 16th and closed on the 18th. Once I heard the governor called, shut down everybody by 8 o'clock, I actually closed my school. I didn't even bother opening it that day. I was like, let's just be safe, close the school. So I really didn't have any contact with any of my teammates since then. And it's kind of scary, like it affects everybody a little differently. So you just hope for the best, and you hope they come out of it, and and they do better, and they recover from it.
For sure, man. And you mentioned the neck injury. Let's pivot to that a little bit. How are you feeling when it comes to your health and the injury that you had to pull out of your last fight because of?
Good. I mean, I've always dealt with it, but it just kept getting worse and worse. And it was good to have some time off. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to test it out in training yet because we don't have any training going on. So that's the downside to it. The upside is I feel good and I'm doing what I can. I mean, like lifting, hitting the bag, and running is like the only thing I've been able to do. And not being able to work with someone, it's tough. And then not being able to test my injury and see my limits and see how it feels is tough too.
Yeah, and all fighters are in a unique experience trying to kind of swim through the waters here. But for you, as somebody that has to test yourself to decide that you're able to fight again, are you just going to wait till this thing blows over, until things get a little better to accept the fight, or are you looking at a certain timetable of return?
I'm not sure just yet. I mean, I really need to get back into training. It's one thing when you're like just lifting and running and hitting the bag, but it's another thing when you're going live jiu-jitsu rounds or live MMA rounds or sparring. It's a different cardio. So I just need to get back in the gym and see where I'm at injury-wise and go from there. Yeah, that's honestly, that's it. I mean, there's nothing else to it. I'm just waiting for that. My biggest thing is though is my school, my students. So it sucks not being able to see them, but I'm hopefully with the Zoom classes and with the students we have doing them, they'll have it, they'll enjoy it, because I know I'm looking forward to doing it and being able, we were doing online classes, but it was one way with Twitch, and you really don't, you get to see comments, and with Zoom or anything else is 10 times better. It was just like a quick fix since our school shut down. Like, we got on Twitch the following weekend, we just threw out a full schedule, but unfortunately we didn't know how long this was going to last. So Twitch was good for like a couple weeks, but it wasn't the ultimate goal. So we started looking at other things we could do, and that's when we started to realize, let's do something with Zoom and be able to interact and watch our students and train them and help them. I mean, right now, it's slowly going back to normal and there's things opening up, but the new norm is a lot of stuff online. And that was always what it was too. It was slowly going there, but since this virus happened, it kind of sped it up. It was like, all right, there you go. Everything's online now.
Yeah, and I forgot you had that school, so that's really interesting. And do you feel like, as a gym owner, that this virus will be something that you guys will be able to get through, that you'll be able to make these pivots? Like, are people still enthusiastic enough where, on the other end of this thing, you're pretty confident that everybody will be enthusiastic about coming back to the gym?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are restless. They want to get back in. They want to train. They're tired of being home. I mean, and you're in New York City, and a lot of my students, New York City, the apartments and stuff are not the biggest. So obviously they want to be able to get out and do stuff. I think when we do eventually open up, I think we'll have a little bit of both. I think we'll still do Zoom classes as well as teaching regular classes, and people that feel comfortable to come out will come out, and people that don't feel comfortable, they will do the classes at home.
Yeah, for sure. And I know a lot of this is kind of hypothetical. Like you said, you have to test your knack. You'll have to get back into the swing of things. But, when you get back, is there any type of matchups that you're looking at? I know that the Marlon Vera fight, he was somebody that was going out in the media saying a lot of things that he wanted to fight you and things about you. Is that a fight that interests you still, or are you looking for somebody else beyond him?
You know what? It's always a sticky situation because, at the end of the day, the boss is the UFC. I'm not. But my ultimate goal is always to fight ahead of me and fight. I'm not trying to knock one, but fight the toughest. You know what I mean? I fought Peter Yan knowing that if I win the fight, I could get either one more number one contender fight, and get that close to the belt. So that was the main reason. Like, I took the Peter Yan fight. Unfortunately, it didn't go my way, and I lost 30 seconds. Something that was tough, and I had to just kind of bite down on my lip and just kind of figure out from there. I mean, at this point right now, I mean, I think if Marlon was ahead of me, it would definitely be a fight to entertain me. But I want to kind of fight forward. My last 5 or 6 fights, maybe even, were behind me, and I understand that some people think the rankings don't mean anything, or some people do, but I guess to me, the rankings mean something to me, and I want to keep fighting forward. So I haven't been able to done that. So I'm hoping to do that with my next fight and go forward and get closer to that number one spot, and get closer where Marlon Moraes is.
Yeah, for sure, man. And my last question for you, we're kind of asking all the fighters this, a little bit of a fun question here. And I know we don't know your timetable, and we don't know that timetable of Fight Island specifically, but if the things line up, what are your thoughts on maybe taking a fight on the island?
I really want to, like, I've heard different things about it. I'm not going to say who I heard it from, but I feel like Fight Island is, as far as I guess picture it, it's kind of like Abu Dhabi's last event, where they sort of set up huge tents, and where the fighters warmed up. It was like really cool. They had air pumping, but once you walked in the arena, it was super hot, obviously, because you're in the desert. So I feel like it's kind of like that. But then we had a meeting with Dana, and he's like, Fight Island's going to happen. Obviously, I'm a businessman. I know about the business world, and it's not hard to buy Island, but what's hard is getting the shit there to build it and to establish it. So that's the tough, is getting all that material you need to build Fight Island. So he said mid-May or beginning of June. I really think beginning of June, but it's really interesting. I really just want to see it. So like now I can stop picturing it and realize what it looks like. Would I fight on it? I think it would be pretty cool just to be able to fight on there and be on the island and freaking take a vacation right afterwards. Like, yeah, I'm just take my week I'm here and add one more week to it. I'm going to hang out on the beach and relax and hang out. I mean, I don't know how big the island is, but I assume it's got to be big enough to, hold the fights and have about 200, 300, 400 people there at a time. So, obviously they're not going to have, I think, people in the arena. They'll have coaches and training partners and what they need to run the event. but I'm thinking it should be big enough to hold 400 or 500 people. So it'd be cool just to hang out after the fight and just sip a pina colada or something like that on the beach. I don't know, a Mai Tai or something.
For sure, man. A lot of fighters go on vacations after their fights, so you could one-stop shop with that. And I really appreciate you taking the time out, Jimmie, whether it's Fight Island or if it's somewhere else in the States or the PI or the Jacksonville, Florida, wherever it is, man.
It's gonna be.
I'm looking forward to seeing your return, man. Thanks for taking the time out.
Sounds good, man. Stay safe.